with God's help, we can reach that level. But we find ourselves always trying to do things on our own and trying to produce things on our own. And I believe that that's where we go wrong, because those aren't the right fruits that we are supposed to produce. See, we're supposed to produce the character of Christ, the nature of Christ, the things of Christ. I'm pretty sure by now you say, well, man, how come he not going to Galatians 5? Well, those are good fruits. Those are okay.
Come on.
But it's still left to us to produce them.
Come on. Right.
It's still up to us to be able to say, look, this is part of my nature. This is part of my DNA. This is what belongs to me. So that's why it's important for us to say, okay, for Christ I live and for Christ I die. John 12:24, the Amplified Bible, says, I assure you, most solemnly, I tell you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains just one grain. So it doesn't multiply. It stays the same. It never becomes more but lives, but itself alone. But if it dies, it produces many others and yields a rich harvest. It's not just for us.
Come on. Amen.
And what is produced, it's more than what we think. See, we think that what we produce sometimes is just a little. To us, it might seem a little, but to God, it's a lot. And if we think about the 2 fish and the 5 loaves.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, we look at it and we say, well, it's supposed to feed how many people, Apostle? I don't know. We only got 50 hot dogs.
Right.
There's 150 people. How can this be? We can't feed the people. Some people get mad you cut their hot dog in half. So, what do? We have to be able to say, well, you know what, brother, sorry, you're only going to get a quarter of a hot dog. That's how we're able to stretch it out. But to our eyes, we never see it. But to God, God sees the bigger picture of everything. We are no good to no one if we cannot partake of anything of our lives. We live our lives like just for us and don't care what people may say. Well, I beg to differ. You should care about what people say. Because it speaks about your character. It speaks about who you follow. It speaks volumes. And that's why it's important to be able to say, well, okay, I do care about what people say about me. I do care about, if people, say I might be a little angry at times, or, even though I don't see it.
Right.
I show myself friendly all the time. I don't know. Don't I show myself friendly? Then you always ask somebody that says, oh yeah, you do.
Right.
You know you do. But little do we know, it's important for us to be able to care about what people say about us. It does speak volumes. It speaks a lot. Even when people say what ministry you belong to. Belong to RIM. Hey, I know that place. Man, that's a very powerful. We've had people come in here. It's a very powerful. Man, you guys, oh my God. God is just, oh, you belong there? Yeah. As soon as you leave. Man, I don't know if they go there or not, because they surely don't show no nothing, and it's important. It's important, and that's why we need to be able to care about what people say. We are bread for somebody that is hungry, and we are somebody's water that they may drink from.
Well,
if we remain barren, we will be cut down. So it's important for us to be able to keep being able to produce, not of anything of our own strength, but allowing God to keep manifesting himself through us, that he may get the glory out of everything.
Yeah.
And this is how fruit remains. You don't have to work any concoctions to figure things out, to try to this is how I'm going to do it. If I look at here, there's no manual for this. None whatsoever. God is in control of all of this, even when he's not around.
Yeah, that's true.
Come on.
Amen. That's good.
His disciples knew.
Yes.
Yeah.
He had to come back and remind them.
Yeah.
And he told them, he says, did not our hearts burn?
Right.
And that's how we need to be. We need to be able to get to a place where our hearts continue to burn and yearn for the things of God. The time has come that God's people, we should always bear fruit, not just for us, but for the healing of the nations. Psalms 1, the 3rd verse. This is the voice. You are like a tree planted by flowing, cool streams of water that never run dry. Your fruit ripens in its time. Your leaves never fade or curl in the summer sun. No matter what you do, you prosper.
Amen.
This is what happens when fruit remains.
Yeah. Come on.
Why? Because it talks about us being planted. Planted in him. Not in anything else.
Yes.
If you know, when it talks about planted, that means that our roots run deep.
Yep. Come on now.
They run deep
That's it.
into the main root.
Yep. Come on.
That's the most important. Not into the soil.
Right.
Amen.
Not unless you hydroplant it.
Help them out.
We won't talk about that. This is a people who operate out of the nature of God, that are led by the Spirit and produce the characteristics of the Father.
Yep.
And this is why it's so important for us to continue to be planted. And it talks about the water that never runs dry. You'll never thirst and you'll never hunger, because you know who's your source. You know who's your supplier. You know who's got your back at the times. Jeremiah 17:7. I've been reading a lot on its translation of the voice, because it really it's powerful. It really brings out the scriptures a lot, just like the Message Bible. Jeremiah 17:8, the voice. He is like a tree planted by water, sending out its roots beside the stream. It does not fear the heat or even drought. Its leaves stay green, and its fruit is dependable no matter what it faces. That's powerful.
Yes, it is.
That's powerful.
Yes, it is.
That's what happens when we're planted.
Yep.
Planted in the Lord. Revelations 22. These are just a couple of scriptures. Revelations 22:2, the voice. Flowing down the middle and dividing the streets of the holy city, on each bank of the river stood the tree of life, firmly planted, bearing 12 kinds of fruit and producing its sweet crop every month throughout the year. And the soothing leaves that gave on the tree of life provided precious healing for the nations. Always producing, always producing, always producing. Because it's always being planted and it knows its source.
That's it.
And that's how we're supposed to be. Always allowing God to work in us, work in the will to do of His good pleasure on the inside of us. It's impossible for us as God's people to remain the same in the way of our thinking and think that it's okay. We have to be firmly planted, bear fruit, and be healing for the nations.
That's good.
I believe that we are called to feed the people not just natural food, but also spiritual food. Silver and gold have have we none, but such as we have, we give unto thee.
Yeah.
I believe that we are great producers as long as we stay connected to the vine. We stand a chance of becoming producers of great harvest.
Yes, yes.
This is how we bear good fruits. John 15, 1 through 8. This is the message. John 15 says, I am the real vine, and my Father is the farmer. He cuts off every branch off that doesn't bear grapes. And every branch that is grape bearing, he prunes back so it will bear even more.
Mm-hmm.
You are already pruned back. You are already pruned back. You are already pruned back by the message I have spoken. Live in me. Make your home in me, just as I do in you. In the same way that the branch cannot bear grapes by itself, but only by being joined to the vine. In the same way that a branch cannot bear grapes by itself, but only by being joined to the vine, you cannot bear fruit unless you are joined with me. That's the reason why I can.
Amen.
Right.
I am the vine. You are the branches. When you're joined with me and I with you, the relation, intimate and organic, the harvest is sure to be abundant. Separate, you cannot produce a thing. Anyone who separates from me is dead wood, gathered